This edition of My Thoughts Monday is brought to you by Valve Performance, the team behind the Nordboard, Force Decks, the Groin Bar, and Human Track. Guys, the most important ability for all of our athletes is availability, and that's the absolute goal of Valve Performance, is to provide solutions to performance professionals so that we can get the right information to make the right decision at the right time for the betterment of the athletes that we get to work with. To do this, guys, they have a wide range of validated products that focus on usability, and having being founded by the School of Exercise and Nutrition Sciences at the Queensland University of Technology, they're extremely evidence-based and they're beyond transparent. I can tell you that our time using the Nordboard and being involved with Force Decks, we have been introduced to so many amazing people that have truly helped us become better coaches, have a better understanding, not just of the technology, but also what we're doing with our athletes. So make sure you hop over to valveperformance.com today to make sure you check out what they got. It's going to make you better and to do better by your athletes. The world of strength and conditioning is filled with some awesome practitioners who are always trying to evolve and continue to grow professionally throughout their career. The problem with many of us, though, is finding a new outlet, a new way, and a new perspective on the questions that we may have, whether it be programming, whether it be situational with dealing with coaches, or whether it be career advice. Because all too often what happens is we get stuck in with the same group of friends and the same group of colleagues that we reach out to for advice repeatedly over and over again. But what we should really be looking for is different perspectives, different people who have been through different situations who can help us make better decisions both for ourselves and our athletes. And one awesome place to start with that is the forums in the Strength Coach Network. In the forums in the Strength Coach Network, you'll be able to reach out and get feedback, input, and advice from coaches from all over the world, from everything from career advice to training modalities to programming. There's people there just for the same reason as you are, to try to get better, to learn, to share information, and to grow the field of strength and conditioning. So hop on over to strengthcoachnetwork.com/CVASPS. That's strengthcoachnetwork.com/CVASPS to dive into all that great content today and get your 48-hour trial for only $1. I look forward to seeing you in the Strength Coach Network. Hey, what's happening, everybody? Jay DeMayo coming at you with this week's edition of My Thoughts Monday. Today, I'd like to continue kind of going through some of the presentations of FREE-VASPS. I'd like to talk a little bit about a takeaway from Cam Davidson's talk. I think that, you know, when we got to day 2, I think that Cam's talk really resonated a lot with me because it made me think about some of the things that we're looking at doing, you know, when the kids come back, and rightfully so, because day 2 was about, you know, what are we looking at for week 1? What are we going to end up doing when it comes to when the athletes return to campus? And, you know, one of the things that, you know, Cam talked about was what they were actually going to program like and what the goals of it were going to be. And that, I'm probably going to butcher the quote, but it was basically to the point of they were going to keep it simple, but be savage with it, right? They were going to keep it savagely simple, I believe is how he said it. Not simple stupid, but savagely simple. And I think that dictating the difference between those two is important, right? Like, we love to use that whole KISS principle, right? You know, keep it simple, stupid, or whatever it may be. But when we're looking at the situation that we are in right now when it comes to the physical preparation of the athletes that we get to work with, a lot of people continue to go back to the fact that the athletes may or may not have been doing what they're supposed to be doing while they're at home, and they may be detrained. This is even more of a reason for us to double down on the basics, double down on technique, and really get back to being savagely good at the simple, you know, basic lifting exercises. I think that that's really brilliant, you know, because when we look at all of these things, right, we know that when we start to train and we start to get into a program, that the novelty of it is what is going to elicit the greatest adaptation to begin with. And we're now looking at a situation where, for the most part, all of these stimuli are going to be novel in a fact that they haven't done it in the better part of 6 months. So why not take a big step back and really focus in on the technical aspects? Why not take a big step back and get really, really good and proficient at whatever the lifts are that you're doing? Why not break things down again and go through these progressions and make sure you're ticking boxes and really getting savagely good at the simple things that are going to lead to improvements in the bigger things? I think that that's exceptionally important for the present moment. I think that that's something that right now, as we look at where we are, where we were, and where we're going, that is something that we can have a very, very large impact on for the health and welfare of our athletes. So it made me take a step back and really reevaluate what we were going to do when we started to get back into training, Because even when we get back to school right now, there's going to be limitations, right? There's going to be limitations to the number of people you can have in the weight room, the amount of time that you get to work with them, and everything else under the sun with all of these other, precautions that we need to take because of this pandemic that we're in right now. But maybe that's just more reason to take a bigger step back and become savage at the even simpler things. How are they sprinting? How are they jumping? How are they throwing? Technically, do they look good? Are they able to do it at a high intensity? Are they able to do it repeatedly? How do they cut? How do they put their foot in the ground? How do they land? How do they do all these things? Can we get savagely good at the things that we can do that are simple to build upon? And then, when we get back into the weight room, when we're actually able to train as a group, when we're actually able to train as a team, is it something that now we need to take a big step back and start completely over? Matt Delancey talked about this in our Instagram Live, where it basically is like he's going to start everybody over like it's day one. It's going to be like a dowel and a bar, and they're going to evaluate the evaluations that he does. That's how you're supposed to say it, evaluate evaluations. But yeah, you know what I mean? And a lot he does is with that overhead squat, right? And he's going to look at how they get into positions and how they move and basically start over. And I think that that's critical. Let's take a big step back where we are right now and do what we say we're worried about. And that is address the fact that they haven't been training and completely rebuild them foundationally and technically and make them savage lifters again. Because I think that as this has gone, and I would probably say that I am guilty of this, as this has gone on and there has been these long durations where there has been little to no break in practice and training, I think that this is something that we could all, me especially, refocus, take a step back and almost start over and watch how sensational the development is going to be just by getting back to the basics and becoming absolutely awesome at them. I would love, though, to hear how other people are addressing this. I would love to hear how going back to these basics, if that's what you plan on doing, is going to change how you're looking at things and doing things. And I'd love to hear where you see it fitting in in the grand scheme of things, because I also still think that at this time we may need to be doing less in the beginning than we would even want to, because of the fact that they are trained and the fact that the coaches are going to need more from them. So how are we going to build this? How are we going to grow this? How are we going to then evolve as this moves forward? I think that we have a plan. I think that we have a plan. I think that we have an idea of how we can do this. Start to get back to the basics and really going forward. But listening to Cam talk about it, especially at the end of his presentation when he discussed not just what plan A was, but plan B and I think plan C, like where he saw things kind of folding and changing, and where his plug and plays were, I thought were super cool and really eye-opening, and kind of made me take a step back and has opened some dialogue with some of our staff here as to where we need to get and how we need to figure out the starting point to get there. So, Cam, kudos, brother. Awesome talk. Really made me think and has really helped us, start to do things a little better here. So, as always, with y'all, everybody, I truly appreciate everything you do for us here at Central Virginia Sport Performance. And we'll be back next week with another My Thoughts Monday. I will see you then.